Okay, I'll make that 9:30, so I think we're going to kick off. So welcome everyone. You're on a webinar today about how to maximize your Xero subscription, and today is all about making use of some of those features in Xero which aren't often used but are a great time saver. So let's get on to it. So my name is Philip Manown. I work in the Chancellor office at LB Group. We've currently got about 440 people on Xero so far now, and those numbers are continuing to increase. And as Making Tax Digital is just around the corner, probably best to start getting people to utilise their Xero subscriptions as much as possible. So just a quick overview of what we're going to cover today. So we're going to go over account watchlist, dashboard, segmentation of data and tracking within Xero, find and recode, which allows you to make wholesale changes on your data, the budget manager, track products and services, which allows you to set some predefined products and services in Xero, payment reminders within Xero, so I'm going to cover that, payment services, bank rules setup, batch payment for suppliers and employees, and other useful third-party apps. And we're going to have a little Q&A session at the end, so if you have got any questions, you should be able to just answer them on the top, or there is a chat option in the top as well if you want to just talk to me directly. So let's get on to it. So just logging into Xero, and this is the dashboard. So on the account watch list then, I'm just in the demo company, and all of you actually have access to the demo company. And the good thing about the demo company is that you can make a few changes in here, and it doesn't affect any of your other data. So yeah, it's good for like a little tester playground area where you can just trial out things. And to access it, you just click on the drop down in the top corner here, and then for you guys, it's just another option here for demo company. So account watch list then, that's just on your dashboard here, and you can choose any account within Xero to keep an eye on. Lots of people use this for keeping an eye on their VAT account or their sales, for example. And how to get your accounts on this watch list is you click on accounting and then chart accounts. And then if you just click on an account, so if we just go in the search and type for VAT, for example, you can find that account. And then it's just one of these options here. So you normally have like 3 options here, and you can click on show on dashboard watch list, hit the save button, go back to your dashboard, and there's your VAT account there. So you can then just helps you to plan out your finances at the end of the quarter, or it just helps you to keep an eye on certain codes within your company. So that will change for depending on what industry type you're in, and what you're interested in keeping an eye on, basically. So next one is segmentation of data. So what this allows you to do, well, the feature in Xero is called tracking, and let's get on to it. So within advanced settings, you've got tracking categories, and the demo company is already pre-set up for a region. And in Xero, you can have up to 2 tracking categories and up to 99 category options. So what this is good for is if, for example, you're a sales-driven company and you want to see the performance of your employees and their sales employees, you could have a category here for salespeople, and then you can have and then a category option can be each one of your salespeople, and then like the demo company, for example, set up for region. But we could add another category here. We could call this revenue stream, for example. And what this allows us to do is run a profit and loss report on different revenue streams within the company or in different regions in the company. So we could have online, in-store, for example, as a category options. And now you set up a couple of tracking categories. When you go to raise a sales invoice or any transaction within Xero, you can then see you've got revenue and revenue stream over the side here. So if we just complete a quick invoice here. And then under region, we can then choose North, for example, and then we can choose, oh, that sale was made online. And we can approve that. So each transaction now, even if you do a bank account transaction, so on your dashboard, under the create option, for example, you've now got region and revenue stream as alternative options. Within a purchase invoice, it looks the same as a sales invoice. We could even edit an invoice that's already been set up. And then we can predetermine these in this region and revenue stream. So once you've categorized all your transactions within Xero, what you can then do is you can then run a profit and loss report, for example, by these different sections. So if we go to profit and loss, the fastest way to look at this is to just go into the old profit and loss reports. And then if you click on compare regions, for example, it will then give you a profit and loss report by each of the regions set up in Xero. It even gives you an unassigned one as well, and a total along the side there. And then we can very easily see which region is actually making us a profit. So from here we can see that West Coast, for example, is making us a £14,000 profit, whereas East Side, for example, is making us a loss of 2,000. So from this information, we can then make management decisions on what we want to do with that business. See, maybe we should do some promotions within that side of the business, or maybe we should look at our expenditure. So you can see advertising is already quite high in that company. So maybe this division's only just starting off. We're expecting it to make a loss. And again, if we wanted to look at the other tracking category, we can click on compare revenue streams. And then, yeah, we just got that one sale that we did earlier. And I edited that cost. So yeah, so that's a very good way to further segment your data and just understand that your company data in a lot more efficiency. So next thing I'm going to talk about is find and recode. Now, it's a really powerful tool in Xero, and instead of making individual changes to each transaction within Xero, what you can do is make large changes to your data all at once. And let me just have a look. So under accounting, you go right to the bottom and you've got find and recode under the advanced tab. And what this allows us to do is add conditions to our data to then first of all find our data set. So for example, if I wanted to change all of my sales to be in the new revenue stream column, we could add an account is the sales account. This would then show all of our sales transactions down here. And for example, maybe I just wanted to change Young Brothers Transport. I wanted to change the region, for example, the revenue stream. What I can then do is add another condition for the contact. Is Young Brothers Transport. Do another search on that. And then what I can then do is select all those transactions, hit the recode button, And then the options are, I can change who the contact is, I can change what the account is, I can even change the tax rate as well. So for example, maybe all of these sales were actually made to the EU and I need to change all those transactions to be zero rated EC services or goods income. But also under here, we've got an add button, so we can add revenue stream. We could change all these to be online sales instead. Hit the review button. It's then going to tell you you're going to change 2 transactions. Hit the confirm. It's then going to give us confirmation that we've completed those 2 transactions. They've now been recoded to the new revenue stream type. So if we then go back to the profit and loss, for example, if we click on compare revenue streams, we can now see that there's now more sales in online. So it's a very easy way to make very large changes on your data set, and it's very useful when it comes to your VAT quarter end. For example, you might have coded 20% VAT on all your train expenses, for example, and you want to go through and just reanalyze all those. So let's find and recode. Budget manager, again, lots of people use Xero just to record the data and then they export it out into an Excel report. And then in that Excel report, they have all their budget data, and then they're doing actual versus budget analysis within an Excel spreadsheet. All that analysis can actually be done within Xero. So under the accounting tab, if you hit on reports, click on budget manager, which is under the financial section. If I'm going too fast on this, by the way, we are recording this session. So it will be hosted on YouTube later for you to watch again if you need to. So you don't need to make any notes or anything. You can just refer back to the video later on. Under budget manager, you've then got a few options here. So you can actually add more than one budget. So you can have an overall budget, and we could also have a budget for each different revenue stream type, or another budget for each different region, or maybe we just want a budget for some forecasts that we're making. Maybe we're going to take on a new contract, but we're going to incur a load of costs as part of that contract, and we just want to see what our budget's going to look like as part of taking on that new contract. So we can do a forecast budget. We're just going to stick to an overall budget for now. And what this allows you to do is have all your accounts here within Xero, all of your profit and loss accounts here. You can use Xero's sort of budget manager process here. So we could put sales here of 1,000, and we're going to budget that we have sales of £1,000 each month, and then we can click this little arrow button, and then we can apply a fixed amount each month as £1,000, or maybe we could add in a percentage increase of 5% each month. We can apply that, and then what that will do is it will then add on 5% every single month. Lots of people though prefer to do all this sort of updating within Excel. So what that allows you to do is you can export directly into Excel. And then you can make all your changes in Excel. So we can change all our direct costs, for example, to be 500, just drag that across for the year. Do all our changes. We can then save that. We don't change any of the formatting, we're just updating the numbers. And then what we can then do is import that back into Xero, which then means that we've got a whole year's worth of budget data within Xero now. Import a budget in, and then what we can then do is go back to the profit and loss report. And in the old style P&L report, they've already got a actual versus budget report set up here for you. So you can see here you've got your actual column, which is what you've actually done in sales, and then your budget column is what you budgeted for. It's telling you your variance and what your percentage is. So we've actually done £113 more than what we anticipated, which is a 6% increase. So you've got it for the month there, and you've also got year-to-date budgets and actuals here. So you've already got an actual versus budget pre-set up report in Xero for you to play around with. What you can also do is you can also customize the P&L report. So with the new reports that are available within Xero, what you can do, for example, if we just do this month at the top, and under report settings, we can add a few comparatives in here. So we can add 4 periods for comparatives. And then what we can do is we can then edit the layout. What this allows us to do is we can then build our own report and how we want it. So at the top here, we've got different types of columns. So we can add a budget, we can add a formula, we can add percentages. We've got our 2 tracking categories here as well. So as well as having our monthly analysis here, we can also put in the year-to-date budget column, for example. Year-to-date. We could also put in here, if we were looking at a particular revenue stream, we could put that in and add our online revenue stream. Obviously, this report's not going to make too much sense because we've got budget and revenue stream data and actuals all in there. But yeah, just gives you an example about what you can do within the actual report templates within Xero and the analysis there. So the next thing we're going to talk about is tracked products and services within Xero, and how that can then lead on to very basic CRM reporting within Xero. So under the business option, we've got products and services. This used to be called inventory within Xero, but they sort of renamed it to be products and services to give you a better idea about what you can actually do and what the functionality is here. Demo company's already got some items set up here. So this sort of sells golf balls and t-shirts, but for example, if you are a service industry and you've got a load of different types of services that you offer. So for example, an accountancy firm could have bookkeeping as an option here. We could have this book, call it bookkeeping, and then under a sell item, we could put a unit price, so we could charge this at £25 an hour, for example. Determine what sales account that's going to go to, VAT rates, and then we can also put in a description. So bookkeeping, an hour rate. We can then save that, and then by I didn't like my item code. Oh, I've already got one for book. We just call it book K1. So we've already got our item now in Xero. We can then go to a sales invoice now, for example. We can then create a sales invoice, basket case, and on the side here you've got item, and then from our drop down now we can choose bookkeeping, and then what that will do is it will pre-populate the line for you and give you a standardized wording for description, unit price, what account and tax rate they're all going to go to. You can also put in there a discount if you like as well. So what that then leads on to is once we've recorded our customers and our products, we can then run a report for who's buying these services and these products and services, or we can see what products and services our individual customers are buying. So if we now go to reports, under reports, it's called inventory, but I think they're going to rename that soon to just be products and services. And then you've got inventory item details. We can star this for use later on. So at the top, it's categorized at the moment by the different products. And we can change the date range, so it's only looking at March, for example, but we could do this for the entire financial year, this report. It will then show me everyone who had all the contacts that have bought the book product, and it also shows you what the volumes are, how much they bought. But we could also group this report by, instead of buying products and services, we can group this by contact as well. So we can then see what agent or city agency are buying. So we can then, under report settings, where it says layout and group by, we can then group that by contact instead. And then we can now see that Bank West has bought half-day training with us. Maybe we think that they're going to be interested in some golf balls, for example. So maybe with this information, we could offer them a promotional offer on golf balls. We can see Basket Case has bought the bookkeeping. And so what this allows you to do is do some very basic CRM tool within Xero without having to go out and buy any third-party integration with the CRM system if this is all the information that you need. So it's quite underutilized, that area of Xero, and a lot of people just like to manually type in the description, the unit price and the amount for each line item. But if you are recording it as an item within Xero, as a product or service, then you can get this sort of level of reporting later on. So next item is payment reminders. And what this enables you to do within Xero is, if you've got the option to create invoices within Xero, you can then set up some automatic payment reminders. So what that'll do is it'll send an email to your contact, and it's all dependent on what you set it up on here. So for example, we can, this is set up at the moment to be overdue, but we can change the template of this email so that it's due in 7 days, for example, or if it's due in 1 day. So it gives you sends out this reminder 1 day before your sales invoices are due, and it's just, as it says, just a gentle reminder that your bill is due in 1 day's time, and it gives you a little link to the invoice for them to refer back to, and yeah, it's just a polite reminder to your customers basically, and it goes out automatically. Saves you having to call them up or send them an email yourself, and Xero does all the legwork for you. The square brackets amounts here, these are all placeholders, and for example, you can amend this, and we can add in our own placeholders if we like. So under the insert placeholder option, you've got all the options here. So it brings in any of the data from that sales invoice, and you can customize these messages that are going out to your customers. Xero says that on average, people that have payment reminders set up get paid 3 days quicker. So it's probably worth doing. It's included in your subscription. It's a bit of a no-brainer really as to why you wouldn't use it. If you've got some customers that are particularly sensitive to receiving email reminders like this and you don't want them to go out, you can customize that within the contacts section in Xero as well. So under contacts, just click into your contact. We then just edit the contact, and then it's one of the options here for them to be included in invoice reminders. Ta-da. It's definitely on here somewhere. Maybe I didn't activate it properly on the previous screen, but there's options on here as well for like different sales settings for each of your customers, different default accounts for each of your customers, regions, revenue streams, as you can see from before. You can pre-populate all those. If you're selling to the EU, you can also put in their VAT number and where they're coming from as well. So that's a requirement if you're selling to the EU. Can't see it on here. but it definitely is an option in there. It's probably because I'm in the demo company and we've not set up the payment reminders option properly. So yeah, definitely recommend you put in the payment reminder service on. Next option was payment services, and one of the powerful things about Xero is that it allows you to integrate with other software, and payment services allow your users a more convenient way to pay off your sales invoices. So you can link up to PayPal, for example. You can link up to Stripe, go cardless. What this enables you to do is offer this as a payment option within your sales invoices. So Xero say that on average you get paid 19 days quicker if you've got a convenient payment service on your option as one of your options. So if you're thinking about it from a customer perspective, it's much easier to just quickly log in with your PayPal and pay your invoice off than it is for them to go in, log into their online banking and make a bank transfer, put all your account details in. Maybe they accidentally put in, they've got to double check all your account details and sort code. It's just a much more convenient way for customers to pay you. And at the end of the day, you want to make it as easy as possible for customers to pay you. So I'll just give you a little demonstration about what that looks like if you enable a payment service. If we just print this invoice, for example. So the demo company's got PayPal set up there, and it's then got PayPal as an option on the actual PDF invoice, so we can view or pay online now. If you send them an invoice link, what that will do is when they look at the invoice online, there's an option at the top to pay this invoice by PayPal, Stripe, go cardless, etc. If you've got recurring customers, I highly recommend using Go Cardless. What Go Cardless is it's an online direct debit function. So by having that integrated into Xero, Xero will then drive the amounts to be taken from your direct debit. So by signing up to Go Cardless, you then get a link for your customers to sign up to join Go Cardless. That then links them into Xero. Xero then tells Go Cardless how much to then take out of their bank account. And then Go Cardless will then send an email to your customers to say £200 is going to leave your account next week, and then Go Cardless will automatically collect that money. So what that does is it completely avoids the whole credit control function within your business, and you can just sit back and just wait for that money to come into your bank account. So I believe Go Cardless is about 2%, but to be honest with you, you're probably spending in time more than 2% chasing that money and just waiting for that money to come in. So it's probably worth the investment overall. So yeah, there are a few options for payment services. If you go to your settings, there's payment services as a setting. And you can just click on add payment service. You then just choose what payment service you've got. Many people have already got WorldPay set up. Stripe, Go Cardless, PayPal, eWay, all the different options there. You then just choose it, which option you're going to go for. You either log in, integrate it with Xero, and yeah, they do have on-screen instructions within Go Cardless for how you can set those up. And then it gives you an option on your sales invoices. Next option is bank rules for automatic data entry. So again, massively underutilized area within Xero. And what bank rules are, for example, if we go into the demo company, it's already matched up sales invoices and sales and bills, for example. But for these transactions where you are regularly transferring money to yourselves or transferring money to HMRC for VAT and PAYE payments, what you can do is set up a bank rule so that it automatically gets reconciled for you. So for example, we've got here Cooper Street Bakery. At the top of each transaction, you've got an option. You click on Create Bankroll. It then brings in the information from the previous screen. So it's got payee equals Cooper Street Bakery. What people are more likely going to see is, for example, if this is a bank charge, you're going to see like commission, and then it's going to give you a date. That's more likely what you're going to see on when the data comes through on your real company. So what you can do is you can get rid of the date option, and then instead of it equaling that, you can do contains. So anytime the payee contains commission now, it's going to automatically recognize that transaction. So we're going to set it as Cooper Street Bakery for now. We're going to add in the contact, Cooper Street Bakery. And we're going to put in some description here. So we're going to call it food. We're going to put that to travel. We're going to change that. We can change the default tax rate. Again, we've got our region and revenue stream options here as well if we want to do that. We can then change which bank account this goes to. So we can either choose it to go to all of our bank accounts or just the one bank account. And we can give it a name as well, so we can refer back to it later on. Hit the save button. What that then does is it then has an OK button now next to those transactions. So when we come to do our bank reconciliation, we can come through and hit the OK button. Or even quicker is when you come to do your bank reconciliation, everyone should have options, have access to this cash coding option at the top here. And if you've got your bankroll set up, all you need in order to reconcile your bank within Xero is your payee setup and your account. So because we've got a bankroll, it's already set up our payee and our account for Cooper Street Bakery, for example. So all we can do now is we can have loads of rules set up. We can have like 50% of these transactions already coded. We can hit save and reconcile now. And what that will do is it will then reconcile all our rules for us. And so then that allows us to focus on our transactions where we can just match them against our sales and purchase invoices. So really quick way of reconciling your bank once a month. Set up the rules up, go to cash code in, hit save and reconcile all. You might want to just check that you can you might want to just check that they're actually going to the right place and you set up the rule properly first. So just before you hit that save and reconcile button, otherwise a load of errors going to happen and you'll probably find yourself using the find and recode tool. But yeah, really useful tool, massively underutilized, gives you great consistency in your data going forward. So next one was batch payment of suppliers. So this really depends on what bank account type you have set up. So this isn't for everyone, and it all depends on whether you set up BACS within your company bank account. All banks offer BACS as an option, and what BACS offers allows you to do is to pay off multiple suppliers in one payment. So for example, if we click on the awaiting payment screen, what Xero allows us to do is upload a little payment file to our bank account, which will then set up a payment template ready to be paid out of our bank account. So for example, once a month, what we could do is see all our outstanding payment invoices. We can then tick all the ones that we want to pay now. So we can just tick all these. We then click on batch payment. You can see here we can then choose what date we want that payment to go out. So if we want it to go out on Friday, for example, choose which bank account we want it to leave on. We can add some more details here. So we can say March payments. More narrative if we want. So what you'd do is you'd load in your bank information into each of your supplier contacts within Xero. but we can add them on the fly now. So we could add in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we can put in their numbers. Details, that's what your customer will receive on the bank statement. So you probably want to put in their invoice number, for example. And then what we do is click Make Payments. That will then automatically generate a payment file for you to then export as a batch file. You've got two options, a CSV or BAX. I obviously haven't filled this in properly to be useful, but what that will then do is you can download this file into the right format. You can then upload this file to your bank, and then it will set up a payment ready to go out. So all you then need to do is authorize that payment to go out of your online banking platform. So great way if you're paying off like 20 suppliers each month. Really good tool. You might have to pay extra on your bank account to have that access. So you sort of have to weigh up the pros and cons as to whether you think it's worth it or not. So batch payment for suppliers and invoices. So also if you're using Xero Payroll, you can set up the BAX option as well to pay employees. So if you're paying off 20 employees, for example, you can put your employees' bank details within Xero, and then you can export that batch payment file as well. So if we just look at a payment run that's already been done, under the options, you then got a download BAX file here as an option. So we've got all our employees' bank details loaded into Xero. We can download that, and then we can upload that to our bank. And that's a very quick way to pay off lots of employees, make sure they get the right pay, make sure it goes to the right place. Yeah, massive time saver. So other useful third-party apps that you may be interested in, there is Receipt Bank. And what Receipt Bank allows you to do is take pictures of your receipts, and then that data then automatically goes into Xero. So all of your, all the date, the supplier, the amount, the VAT rate, etc., all goes into Xero. You can also set up an email address within Xero. So if you get a lot of purchase invoices via email from your suppliers, you can just forward that on to your Receipt Bank email. It will then go to Receipt Bank. Receipt Bank will then process that receipt for you. And you can also set it up to automatically publish to Xero, or from within Xero, from within Receipt Bank, you can also edit that invoice. So if we just go into one of our demos to show you what this looks like. So for example, if we were on our phone, we can download the Receipt Bank app. We can take a picture of this receipt. So just taking a picture of a train ticket to Manchester, quite a few years ago now. And what Receipt Bank has automatically done, it's brought in the date automatically for you. It's brought in the supplier. It's brought in the amount. It recognises there's no VAT on this invoice. And it's pre-populated all the fields for you, ready to go into Xero. For example, if you did want to change this, for example, maybe it's automatically put it in as direct wages, for example, but actually we don't want it to go to direct wages, we want it to travel. You can amend that. You can set up so that suppliers within Xero, within Receipt Bank, you can configure how each supplier is dealt with. So for example, we've got Amazon here. We can choose all our Amazon costs to go to repairs and maintenance, for example. We can choose all our BP costs to go to motor vehicle expenses. And it just allows us to have that consistency of data within Xero. Within Xero. If you've got a purchase invoice with lots of line items, what you can do is it will also pick up each line item, and under here again you can edit the line item. So it will then bring in the description, the amount, the quantity, and you can then configure each line item to go to different places or different accounts within Xero. So massive time saver if you've got like 200 purchase invoices a month. This is a massive time saver because it saves you having to sit there and manually type out each of the date, the description, the amount, the supplier for each one of those invoices, and gives you much higher quality data within Xero. Another good tool as well is Fluidly. And what Fluidly allows you to do is it's an intelligent cash flow forecast management tool. And what this enables you to do is it uses the data from within Xero. Just trying to find the video for it here. Cash flow forecasting. And what it does is it uses the data within Xero to work out when you're going to get paid and when you're going to pay invoices. So it uses machine learning AI technology on your Xero data and works out that basket case, for example, pays you on average 15 days after the sales invoice. It will then say that you're then expecting that money to be received in 15 days time. So it will then plot that your cash flow forecast will be that amount. Also, it's also worked out that in 14 days time, on average, you normally pay that supplier as well. So it's then saying, oh, actually, this is what your cash flow is. And what this is doing is it's accurately, or more accurately, predicting what your cash flow is going to be, and can help you plan out when you're going to have these big troughs in expenses going out, or when that income's going to come in, and how you can plan your financing around that. So that's just one element of Fluidly. It's also got a credit control function. Works much in the same way as the payment reminders function within Xero, but instead of having predetermined emails go out, you can also set it so that calls go out to your clients as well. And it also allows you to segment your customer base as well, to more tailor those emails and going out to those customers. So it also gives you one central location to manage all your credit control. So if you've got a team of 4 people chasing debt, they've all got one central location where they can leave notes and just help work as a team, basically, to chase on that debt. And yeah, links directly in with your Xero data, so there's no import export function. You just synchronize that data in with Xero. It will then automatically populate with all of your outstanding sales invoices within Fluidly. So really useful tool. We are partnered with Fluidly, so we can offer you a discount on the prices which are available on Fluidly. So get in contact with us if this is something that you're interested in. Other products out there. Well, actually, I'd recommend that you just look on the app marketplace within Xero. That's under the company heading, and from the app marketplace, you can actually search by industry type. So, for example, if you are in construction, for example, it will then recommend construction type apps which integrate with Xero. So for example, Tradeify allows you to do job costing for each of your products and allows you to post timesheets, allocate expenses to each of your contracts, and it's more tailored for people working in trade. There's also different payment services that you can use, and yeah, so I'd definitely have a look at that marketplace and see if there's any tools out there which can definitely speed up cash flow, for example, or give you a greater level of detail on each of your data. And if for example, there's some of these which you like the look of, get in contact with us, because we might be able to do a discount with some of the vendors on here. So that concludes our presentation. And yeah, if you've got any questions, you can use the chat option within Zoom here. or you can also drop me an email later on if you come up with any other questions later on. Just going to read some chat messages here. So one of the people was asked, can you create a bankroll as an overpayment instead of direct payment? So I believe you can't actually. We can have a little look though. Let's go into Xero. So I believe the way that the bankrolls work, it doesn't really work if it's if you're trying to match it up to contacts. Match them up to sales invoices or purchase invoices. Bankrolls is more designed to go straight to a nominal code within Xero. So if you do have a sales ledger or purchase ledger customers, it's not really designed for that functionality. So no, so yeah, so you wouldn't be able to do just going back to the chat on messages. So you wouldn't be able to set up a bankroll to go as an overpayment or direct payment. You could set it so that it goes to an account within Xero, so it's going to like a prepayments account, for example, but you can't offset it against the ledger. So for that one, you just have to record it as an overpayment as you normally would. Someone's asked, what's the difference between Receipt Bank and the Xero expenses? So Xero expenses is more designed around teams and employees within Xero. So what that enables you to do is, so I'm not sure if the demo company set up for expenses actually. Yeah, so the main difference is that Xero expenses app is more designed for employees recording expenses rather than as a business owner recording invoices on the fly. So that's the main difference there, and it's got an approval option within there. Receipt Bank does also cater for employees that want to submit expense claims. So for example, in your inbox, employees would take pictures of their receipts. They would then choose which costs they then wanted to convert to an expense report. So they then add that to an expense report. Let's create a new one. We can do this as like March 19, we can call this. You then choose who was dealing with this report, and just give it a date. That then groups your expenses together into an expense report. So if we then go to expense reports, we can then see this expense report we've just created, and what that does is it groups up each one of those expenses within a report, so that when your employees then submit that to Xero, the contact is then set as the employee's name rather than having it split as 5 or 6 invoices. So yeah, so that's basically the main difference between those two. So somebody's asked, is there a cash equivalent to the P&L budgeting I could use for cash flow forecasting? So great question. So each of the reports within Xero, you can actually configure to be either on a cash basis or accruals basis. So if we go to the new report, for example, under report settings, for each of your reports, you then got an accounting basis as accrual or cash. So if we change this to cash, what that will then do is it will then pick up all the payment dates for all your sales invoices rather than the invoice date for your sales invoices, and the same for your costs. So this is great for a cash flow forecast tool. Again, you can, If you wanted to do a cash flow forecast for like next year, for example, what you could do is look at last year's financial year data. You could then look at this. Well, actually, if we look at it for like the last month, and then what we could do is we could do it for 11 previous periods. That would then show us on a monthly basis what we received in cash for our sales, what we paid out in cash for all of our expenses. We can then export that to Excel. So we can then use this as the basis for next year's cash flow forecast based on what we actually received in cash for each of those different accounts. So yeah, great question there. So somebody's asked, does Receipt Bank work with sales invoicing? I only mentioned purchases. So I believe that if you're using it for sales invoices, they were talking about using it for sales invoices. However, I don't know where they actually got with that. At the moment, I believe you can't use it for sales invoices. And I believe the reason why is because what you should really be doing is creating those sales invoices from within your accounting software. Because the advantage of doing that is that your sales invoices are then stored within Xero. You can set up the payment reminders. You can then use Xero as a management tool for each of those debtors. But I appreciate if you've got a bespoke sales invoice system that you want to use, which has all the information on your sales invoices, you might want to use that instead of Xero's functionality. Within Xero, there is an import option for sales invoices. So that might be an option if you're using a bespoke system. You can export that data out into Excel format, import it into Xero. That may be a better option for you rather than using it via Receipt Bank. So that concludes all the questions I have. If anyone comes up with any other questions in the meantime, you can drop me an email. Put me down at lbgroupltd.com. I'll go through your questions. If you're really struggling with Xero and you need some help with it, what you can do is you can sign up to our LB Group support service for a fixed fee. So that way you don't have to worry about any one-off costs for us to help you with any issues with Xero. Gives you a nice fixed fee, so you can call us as many times as you like. Also, you just call your local office number as well. And each of the offices are all trained on Xero as well. So they can all help you with your options as well. So if you've got a regular contact at LB Group, you can also ask them any of your Xero questions as well. If you need to refer back to this video at any point, we are going to host this video. We've recorded this session, so we're going to host it on YouTube as well. So we'll send you out a link for that as well. And any feedback on this meeting, just drop us an email as well. We'd love to hear your feedback. So hope everyone has a good week, and any issues, just give us an email. Okay, thank you everyone.